Hello, this is Matt O'Leary, and it is NFL Week 1. That means Fantasy Week 1. And time for Albums at a Glance for the month of August 2017, where I run over a number of new released albums, notable new release albums from the past month. Let's go. First up, it's Lana Del Rey. No, it's not. Wait, that's not Lana Del Rey? No, we're starting with Nita Stein, who's been doing that woozy charm thing as long, if not longer, than Lana. Instead of that big city melodrama thing, Juanita brings some country to the singer-songwriter's sound with Southern Belle ballads like I'll Cry. My only real complaint with this album is that the instrumental palette seems a little bit bland, a little bit safe. I realize it's hard for a vocalist to have much control over that aspect, but if she could have a little bit more of a vision and more of a distinctive personality behind something other than the vocals, I think that would add a lot. I can totally see this getting swept under the rug, but I think there's a lot to like about Juanita's classic songwriting and chops. If you really like Lana's innocent, versatile voice, but want something a little more rootsy, a little more down to earth, definitely check out Juanita's new album, America. Grizzly Bear has a new album, and they come through with the Grower of the Year in Painted Ruins. I think on the surface this band has a pretty underwhelming sound, and hearing that first song from this album, Morning Sound, didn't really entice me at all. It just didn't pop, and honestly it still doesn't. It has a pretty bland indie rock beat and melody to it, but as those wiry squelching guitars and dreamy harmonic layers work their way into my conscious awareness, I caught on to this album, and I caught on strong. It did remind me of Yellow House or Shields in that way. You know, there's nothing flashy about it, but eventually those subtleties start to reveal themselves. And I love the contrast between Ed's darker, sullen tone that's showcased on the song Neighbors, and Daniel's more effervescent vibrato like on the chorus of Glass Hillside. Glass Hillside is actually my favorite track on the album, transitioning from this plodding, creepy verse to these bubbly synths and bass on the chorus. Next up's the experimental electronic project Photay, who tackles this relatable but insurmountable feeling on his new album Onism. That is the frustration that comes with our inability to experience everything we'd like to. We're not only limited by time and other lacking resources, but also by being in just one body and just one mind. The syncopated glitches on Onism are accompanied by more natural acoustic sounds as well. This is an album that's completely creatively uninhibited and free from genre. The song Inharmonious Slog is anything but with these dueling, sophisticated keyboards over the top of this shuffling club beat. While the song The Everyday Push reminds me more of something Snarky Puppy would have done on their last album, Culcha Vulcha. On to the Toy Story guy. It's Randy Newman with the new album Dark Matter. And he's definitely known more for his soundtrack work and his Pixar work, at least by my generation, than he is for his solo albums, but he's actually up into the double digits now for solo albums, and he's 70 years old. He's a master of satire, and he continues that streak on the dramatic, bombastic Dark Matter. Whether it's JFK or Sonny Boy Williamson or Mr. Putin himself, Randy dares to frame history through his average Joe style. Songs careen around to different keys and different time signatures and completely different styles on Newman's cue. And since he's such a talented arranger and composer, the orchestra and the choir is always there to provide support for any weird new direction. It's a pretty bizarre album from a pretty bizarre musician. This guy's about as marketable as a muffler, but he always has been, and that's what kind of makes him so lovable. But like always with him, I tend to like the more soft and sweet side, the love songs like She Chose Me or Lost Without You. But you cannot help but admire this guy's sincerity and wit. Okay, best Randy Newman song of all time. Is it You've Got a Friend in Me? I'm going to say no. I think it's In Germany Before the War. Go listen to that right now. Totally different feel, but you know. Guantanamo Bay Watch is a surf garage rock band with a little more fire, a little more punk energy than any of those classic 60s bands. Their new one's called Desert Center, and this is a sound made for the live setting, but I think on the record there's a meticulous level of detail. The instrumental Area 69 busts like a bull through the gate, thrashing from side to side with an appetite for destruction. I picture it as the soundtrack to a blooper reel of bull riding and fast motion. Then you get the doo-wop feel of the song's video or Neglect. Very easy chord progressions to understand, very accessible rock. Springsteen and Dylan sound-alikes The War on Drugs put out their major label debut called A Deeper Understanding. Vague and idyllic poetry floats effortlessly atop pristine layers of glistening sun-soaked guitars. There aren't many risks taken. I feel like many of these sounds, many of these tropes are well within the band's established sound already. But it's an inescapably pleasant album. You could put this on with your grandparents over and pretty much trust that they wouldn't think twice. Or it could be a crowd-pleasing backdrop to a bonfire. I mean, is that just a Midwestern thing? For me, this is a functional album. I'm not going to dig into it with a critical ear, but it does serve its purpose, and I think everyone will sort of like it. Fever Dream is my first exposure to the Manchester band Everything Everything. If you like pop music, which, you know, is pretty much everyone, and you haven't heard Everything Everything, you're missing out. That's all I'm saying. You know, you're not living your best life now. I remember everyone lauding their 2015 album Get to Heaven. I just never tried it, so I'll have to go back and do that. But I love how Fever Dream has the balance of that moodier material like the title track or New Deep. And then what I've heard is the more typical style of balls to the walls, pop acrobatics like on Night of the Long Knives or Desire. I love how the singer Jonathan Higgs can let loose this just high siren-like tone, but also, you know, take it easy and go lighter with his falsetto. That's a rare thing for a male vocalist to be able to do. You know, usually there's that sharp cutoff between your full voice and your falsetto, that like, that cutoff right there. But there's about a half octave or so of notes that he can either just shout it out or, you know, softly croon, depending on what the style or the song requires. Big Game is an example of that light falsetto, while the song Can't Do is more of a mix of going back and forth between the two. This is an exciting release from an electric band. This band has such a great handle on all things 80s pop and R&B and modern electronica and rock. Last but not least is another gutsy, innovative math rock album from the band Tera Melos called Trash Generator. It's punk, it's prog, it's pop, it's just brimming with energy. Every single aspect of it has just so much oomph to it. You know, maybe not the vocals, but it definitely is an album that makes you believe in guitar music. It's all inventive, from that attention-grabbing bass line on System Preferences to the nearly mentally unstable playing on Warpless Run. What has me coming back is just that carefully controlled chaos. Although there are very few memorable tracks outside of Don't Say I Know and maybe Universal Gunk. Yeah, it's actually mostly a tangled mess, but you know, maybe time will make things more familiar to me. And that is all I have for you fine people today. So what did you think of these albums, and were there any more from August that you loved? Maybe some that you despised? I don't know, that might be fun to share. Anyway, thank you so much for watching.